As you know, everyone lies. Most people can easily say words that are not true. But almost no one can completely control facial expressions, gestures, and behavior. That is why it is possible to determine that a person is lying by carefully observing his behavior. Yes, there are signs of a lie that many have heard of, arms crossed over the chest or touching the face. But not always these gestures indicate a lie. The human body is much more complicated. We impersonate the smallest details of behavior that we don't even think about. In this video, we will talk about tricks that help to recognize a lie. They are used by intelligence officers, so these methods really work. Fight or run. Despite centuries of evolution, our brains still retain the mechanisms that primitive people had. When faced with danger, a human being has two options: fight or flee. This is exactly what a man did when he met a dangerous beast thousands of years ago. Today, the same emotions are experienced by suspects under interrogation or teenagers who are persistently questioned by their parents. In both cases, the heart begins to beat more often, and adrenaline in the blood rises sharply. From this, the arms and legs become energetic, but a person cannot escape from interrogation, so he unconsciously tries to release this energy. Before telling a lie, a person may fidget, rub their hands, touch their hair, or make strange, unnatural movements. Also, when a person lies, the body temperature rises, so many, especially men, tend to touch the collar of a jacket or t-shirt, for example, pull it back to allow air to enter and cool down a bit. Layered lies. A huge number of criminals were caught precisely at this reception. When an unfaithful spouse tries to lie about where he was last night, he usually thinks through only the surface layers of his lies. He will only lie about what he saw or heard. People tend to use only these two senses in lies: sight and hearing. Suppose an unfaithful husband claims that he spent the previous night with friends at a bar watching a football game. If you ask, for example, what the dish tasted like, which, according to the cheating husband, he ate with friends at the bar, then there is a high probability that he will become confused and give himself away. You can also dig deeper and clarify who won the game, who scored the first goal, and who was sent off. Most liars do not think through their lies in great detail, and this eventually gives them away. They begin to stutter and get confused in their testimony. Unusual behavior. Many people know that if a person, when answering a question, touches his face, hair, crosses his arms, does not find a place for himself, then he is lying. But this is an incorrect interpretation of gestures. Humans are much more complex. In order to find out which gestures signal a lie, it is necessary to observe the person for some time during the conversation. For example, arms crossed on the chest. There is a misconception that if your interlocutor folds his hands in a conversation in this way, then he is either lying or he doesn't like you, that is, he is trying to close himself from you by folding his hands. However, this gesture is also called self-hugging. We often cross our arms over our chests when we watch a movie or think about something. Avoiding eye contact is another myth. It is believed that if the interlocutor looks away when answering a question, then he is lying. But in fact, when we process information, this is a completely natural reaction. We look up or to the side when we are thinking hard about something, so specific actions cannot be a universal sign of a lie. Behavioral deviations are a sign of lying. If you have known a person for a long time and usually in a conversation he does not touch his face and does not look away, and when answering an uncomfortable question he begins to do this, then it is likely that he is lying. If you see the interlocutor for the first time in your life, then you can start a conversation with abstract topics when it makes no sense for the interlocutor to lie. During this time, observe how he sits and what gestures he uses, and then watch to see if that behavior changes at any particular moment. This effect also works in reverse. If a person tends to touch his face with his hands or turn around, and when answering a specific question, he sits without moving, then most likely he is telling a lie. Another indicator of unusual behavior can be blinking. Most of us never think about this simple action, despite the fact that we blink 10, 20 times a minute. When a person does not think about something, he does not try to control it. It is the details that the interlocutor does not control that can betray his lie. During a conversation, you can pay attention to how often the person blinks. While he tries to lie, his blinking frequency will most likely change. He will blink much more often or, conversely, more slowly. A person's face is a great source of information. There are several dozen muscles on the face. No one can control them all, especially at times when the brain is busy with such complex activities as lying. Pay attention to whether a person frowns, whether his forehead wrinkles, whether his lips tighten. The slightest movement of the muscles in the face, which is not characteristic of a particular person, is a sure sign of excitement caused by a lie. Speech. Before that, we mainly talked about the so-called nonverbal ways of communication, gestures, facial expressions, and so on. But verbal means, that is, speech, can also help in recognizing lies. Speech can betray a liar with giblets, and not only specific words, but also how we pronounce them. Everyone has their own speed of speech and intonation. If a person is used to speaking slowly, then a sharp increase in speed is a sure sign of excitement and lies. Also, many tend to raise their tone of voice in stressful situations. However, specific words can also become a clear sign of a lie, for example, parasitic words. If in a conversation your interlocutor suddenly began to use the words as if, like as, or others many times, this indicates his excitement and possible lies. Of course, if you know that a person always tends to use such parasitic words in speech, simply because of a lack of vocabulary, then for him they will not be a sign of a lie. Another indicator of lying can be the use of words that are not typical for the interlocutor. For example, if a person is used to always saying the word wife, then the unexpected use of the word spouse in a sentence becomes a detail that breaks out of habitual behavior. In a word, it is not the universal details of behavior that are important for determining lies, but repetitive actions and deviations from them. To establish for sure that a person is telling a lie, it is necessary to analyze and look at the picture as a whole. All people are different, and our behavior can be very different. Everyone lies, it's a fact, but everyone does it in their own way. If you were interested in this video, then put like, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell to always be aware of new videos, and of course, leave your comments under this video.